Alright, we are on the draw with Rug Delver. Is this hand good? I'd say this hand is actually quite good. I like it a lot. I think it's a very, well, I wouldn't say it's a very good hand in pretty much all the matchups, but I'd say this is at least decent in every matchup that comes to the top of my head. This is a Mishra's Bauble, and they started with a Watery Grave, so it looks like we're playing against Grixis Death's Shadow. How do we stack up against that? We're going to go turn 1 Serum Visions, turn 2 Tarmogoyf. That could be worse. That could certainly be worse. I'm not super happy to see the 4th land. I'm actually quite disappointed to see the 4th land. But that happens. I almost certainly want to start on a fetch because our life total is going to be under at least some amount of stress, but I really want to get lands out of the deck. We don't want to draw the 5th. Really don't want to draw the 5th. Which one do we want to start with? We have a forest and a steam vents. So I'm probably going to want the second green source and the second red source. Maybe we'll end up getting an island with the Scalding Tarn. So let's go Island Stomping Ground, something like that. That seems quite good. Artifact in the graveyard goes perfectly for Goyf. Island, cast Serum Visions. Well, there's the 5th land, so that's unfortunate. I definitely don't want the Scalding Tarn. Do we want Lightning Bolt? Probably not, honestly. Really not excited for the second Lightning Bolt. Most of their deck does not die to Bolt. Maybe an early Shadow. Snapcaster Mage, but that feels awful. Bolt to kill Street Wraith if they even hardcast it. So yeah, Bolt's pretty much just reach here. I haven't played against the Grixis version too much. Grim Flayer is very surprising. They don't have Delirium, so that's good. We might be casting that Lightning Bolt. If they connect with a Grim Flayer, there is a really good chance that Delirium's going to be on. They have Artifact and Land. All they need to find, what is it, top 3 or 4? It is the top 3 cards. They need pretty much, I mean, they have 5 cards in hand. It's pretty likely they have a sorcery or an instant that they could cast if we play this Goyf. So we're going to go with Wooded Foothills. I'm going to save the Scalding Tarn in case we want to fetch out a basic island. We're going to get a Stomping Ground, and we're going to make sure this thing dies. Stomping Ground, yes. Not Grixis. This is Sultai. That makes this Spell Snare quite nice. So it looks like Sultai, green, blue, black, Death's Shadow, or just Delirium, because yeah, that's a very good point I just made to myself. Mishra's Bauble indicates Delirium, but not necessarily Death's Shadow. Of course, they are at 15, but that's what happens when you play a 3-color mana base in Modern. You take quite a bit of damage. That's the price we pay for our consistency. Okay, Street Wraith pretty much seals the deal. It's Death's Shadow. So never mind that. Not Sultai Delirium. Street Wraith is scaring me quite a bit. That's a Death's Shadow. It has a CMC of 2. Sorry, a CMC of 1, not 2. We will not be spell snaring that. That's a 5/5. Well, we have a 5/6, so that's good. And Stubborn Denial is actually very good. I'm going to take a nice long look at both graveyards now to see if we can Goyf Hoots. But if we Goyf Hoots, we need to tap 3 lands for that mana, which means we don't have this Denial up. And Denial is really good. If they don't have a way to lose life, then this Goyf just stonewalls their Shadow. And if they do attack, I'm just going to take it. So we're casting Goyf. What else do we want to do? We're at 16. If we don't take any damage, we can take 3 hits from this Shadow and survive. That's not super likely to happen. We have to take no damage off of our lands, and they can't take any damage. So I think we're fine with fetching. Do I want to fetch or shock? I think I want to just fetch. Like I said, really don't want to see lands. So let's get that basic island. cast a Tarmogoyf, and let's hold up Spell Snare and Stubborn Denial. Now, if they play a Tarmogoyf, we might have to denial it, which would be we might have to snare it, which would make me very sad because that leaves us open to removal. They are going very low. I'm going to counter the spell. I don't think I have a choice but to try to counter this spell. If they have their own denial, that's going to suck quite a bit, but that's just how it's going to be if they have a denial. They have a Simic Charm? What good is that going to do? They're bouncing the Goyf. Wow. So they're basically playing our deck, but black instead of red, which is actually really cool. So it's nice that we got to 2 for 1 then, but we're gonna take 7 here. Of course, our opponent's at 6, which is nice. Snapcaster Mage would be a sweet top deck. Second Death's Shadow makes me very, very scared. We're going to skip over to our turn, but our opponent has one card in their hand. Okay, land number 6 isn't what we wanted to see, but we can play the Goyf and the Mandrills, and they can't attack with both of their creatures. Now, they have 4 card types in their graveyard. What are those card types? I see instant creature, land, artifact. We have sorcery. Visions is not leaving this graveyard. That allows us to hold up Spell Snare. If we leave Bolt in the graveyard as well, make Snapcaster a little better, we can't cast our Spell Snare. So we need to tap that for the Goyf. And now the question is, do I want to hold up Spell Snare? Spell Snare is good if they have, say, another Simic Charm. They won't be running Terminate, does nothing against Abrupt Decay, Snapcaster Mage. I think Spell Snare might be good enough that I don't care about the Snapcaster that's in my deck right now, so we're going to delve away that Lightning Bolt. There is actually only one Snapcaster Mage in our deck right now, which this is a pretty good time to mention. There are a few people on the MTG Salvation thread who have been playing Narnum Renegade over Snapcaster Mage, and they seem to like it quite a bit in this meta. I literally can't take both. I actually have to block both of these because they presented a fetch land. Okay. If we don't block, we're dead, so we're going to block. It's certainly not good, but it's what we have. Like I was saying, there are some people on the MTG Salvation thread who are playing Narnum Renegade, and they're actually liking it quite a bit. So I figure I may as well try it. So far, I don't think it's better than the second Snapcaster Mage, but it might be. I really don't think it's better than the first. We are super duper dead, so I'm just going to scoop here. And we're going to look at the Narnum Renegade that is in our deck. There it is. So, 1 Snapcaster Mage right now. I really don't think you should go below 1, especially with these 2 traverses. Against Death's Shadow Jund, in the roughly 50 games, not matches, that I tested, Snapcaster was better than Renegade every time it came up, but it only came up like 4 times. So I don't think it's a huge issue in that matchup which one's better, because it's not often that it's going to matter, but when it does, I think Snap is better than Renegade, so I'm not running Renegade over Snap for that, but there are also matchups such as Eldrazi that I haven't tested a lot with, so I'm interested to see how the one of Renegade performs. It may very well be getting kicked out of the list sometime soon, but we're just going to see it. That's the only change I made, so I didn't want to make a dedicated video to that. Let's see what we can do to kill our opponent. Let's do some sideboarding. So, Sultai Death's Shadow. We're going to bring in all of our anti-Death's Shadow stuff, which is probably just that. I don't think I want Pyroclasm or the Artifact and Enchantment Hate. I don't expect them to run anything that's good against. Surgical Extraction, might be good, because they have Delirium stuff. They almost certainly also have Goyf, and they probably have Snapcaster Mage. I don't think Curiosity is going to be good here, because they probably have a lot of removal. All of our creatures seem great. Tarfire, we still really need our graveyard stuff. Mana Leak could be good. I might trim some Thought Scours because I don't think we're going to have a great time going under them. And they're pretty likely to fill our graveyard for us. I don't think we're going to have a fast Mandrills. I think the way we're going to beat them is Huntmaster, Traverse, just try to deal with their stuff, explosives, deal with theirs. I think it's going to be a last threat standing game. Spell Snare seems excellent. We brought in all of these cards that aren't blue, so I like taking out Disrupting Shoal. What else? Denial has plenty of targets, but I really don't want to cut the leaks. Bolt actually has some targets too because of Flare. This is hard. 5 cards have to go, and we really don't have much time to decide. Traverse is good. Let's cut one of the Dismembers that I just brought in. 1 Denial, even though it's got targets. Vapor Snag and Simic Charm get a lot worse when we're on this sort of plan, but I also really like them here. Let's cut a leak. Maybe we'll just cut down on the counters a lot. No. Cut Bolt, something like that. Bring in a leak, take out a Denial. I think that's good. I think that's good. Wow. Okay, so our opponent is probably packing a lot of removal, so I really don't expect this hand to go anywhere. We do have a Narnum Renegade, which will get a couple shots in and then wall them, which is nice. And maybe then Delver can do Delver's thing. This hand is so much better, and Delver could theoretically take over from there while Renegade does the defense. Let's bottom that. I'm not going to be fetching because I want all 3 colors here, so we're going to actually make use of that scry. Yep. Turn 1 Delver, turn 2 Goyf ain't half bad. But yeah, that 7 that we had would be very, very good if our opponent had exactly 0 removal spells. I'm going to assume that our opponent on Sultai Death's Shadow has more than 0 removal spells. That's not a reveal, but we are going to draw it. We really can't stop ourselves from drawing it. Now, however, we have a mountain. So we can still get all 3 colors if I get a Breeding Pool with this Scalding Tarn, but then Blood Moon gets a lot worse. Of course, we can't get Island, Forest, Mountain with the Scalding Tarn, so it's almost moot that Blood Moon gets worse if we get a Breeding Pool. We lose the second blue source because this could get an island. That's assuming we actually have Blood Moon. So I think it's probably worth it to just fetch Shock, get the Breeding Pool, have good mana assuming we don't have a Blood Moon. They Shock, Thoughtseize, take 1 off of Delver. Okay. I was trying to figure out why our opponent was at that life total without having fetched. This gets us a forest and fills our graveyard a little better, so I like that. I'm going to leave the Tarfire under the Misty in case they play something like a Grimflayer and I decide I want to go for that line of Tarfiring it. We could either go Mountain, Hoots, or we can go Misty, Fetch, Hoots, and we lose the Tarfire. Which, I don't really care for the Tarfire unless they show me something that I can Tarfire. Of course, it can go to the face eventually, but we're probably a little ways out from that. Tarmogoyf is definitely not something we can Tarfire, so we're not gonna care about that. That means the plan is to do the fetching. Now I could have had the Tarfire on top, so that might have been a misplay. I'm gonna have to think about that. I do want to fetch here, because Tarfire now is quite bad. And let's get a Hooting Mandrills. Do we want to pay all of the mana, or do we want to bluff? That depends what they have. They don't have any creatures. That's the only card type we have over them. So I guess we're going to mill the Goyf and leave at least one card. I think we're going to make Traverse slightly better instead of... Let's leave the Sorcery. It's a little less likely that we find another Visions before our Traverse. I think I'd rather make Traverse and Snapcaster Mage a little bit better than trying to bluff having a denial or something here. So our opponent is losing quite a bit of life. Pretty typical of their deck, I imagine. We're not in a great spot. So if we keep the Tarfire on top, Delver transforms, which lets us put pressure. Wow, double Death's Shadow. That's scary. Delver lets us put pressure, but then we have a dead card in our hand, and I don't really like that. Transforming would be good. The third Hooting Mandrill certainly is not. I guess that's the price we pay for playing 4 Hooting Mandrills. We really just have nothing profitable to do here. It's quite bad. Even if Delver transforms, we give them 2 6/6s that then attack and clock us faster than we clock them. So I think we're really just in an awful catch-22 right now. We can't profitably attack, and the longer we let them not die, the worse this gets for us. They have Traverse. Theirs isn't on either. I think they're getting a land. Maybe they were thinking that Serum Visions counts towards theirs, or maybe they just wanted their forest. They could be playing around Blood Moon right now. So yeah, we're in a bit of a board stall. Huntmaster would be great. That's not a Huntmaster. I will shock and play it though, because that's another Mandrills. That takes out our Visions, but we are so far from being able to traverse for anything decent that I don't even think that's relevant. Of course, that does make Snapcaster Mage worse, and Snapcaster Serum Visions at this point would be pretty good. I like digging 3 cards closer to Huntmaster. Of course, I'd prefer to just draw the Huntmaster, but, you know, can't necessarily have that. Oh, actually, even with our Serum Visions, they already have the Sorcery in the yard, so no Delirium, even if they were confused. They just wanted a land. Blood Moon. Won't reveal it. We will play it, because it hurts them more than it hurts us. Cuts our opponent off of blue and black. We don't... Let's just not pretend we have red, I guess. They have the denial. We're gonna pay 1, I guess? This is gonna make Goyf big, but we can delve it next turn. No, actually, it only makes Goyf big. That's fine. Goyf will only get big if Blood Moon hits the yard. So unless they have a mana leak or 2 more denials, do they just have that many denials? Because this is a really good spot to catch them in. Oh, the denial grew the Goyf. That's a good one. That is a very good one. So first denial made the second denial ferocious. I don't think that's ever come up for me, which is kind of disappointing, because we can have that interaction too. And I want it. That was actually really cool. So right now, what I'm hoping for is that the top card of our library is a Huntmaster. Our baseline play is Hooting Mandrills. Instant gives them a 4th card type, so it's likely they're getting... I'd get another Goyf, I think, in this spot. It has a higher floor than Death's Shadow right now. Death's Shadow, of course, has a much higher ceiling, but Street Wraith is pretty good. That goes to show that I don't play their deck, so I don't actually know what they should get. Of course, I also don't know if that was correct, but it was pretty good. Do they attack with everything? I'll stop speculating. Let's let them decide. So if they do that... Oh, wow. They're going in. Okay. Fatal Push Delver. Alright. happens, they don't know about the Hooting Mandrills in our hand. So, if they have a Street Wraith and we don't block, we are dead. However, if we do block and they have a Street Wraith, I actually think if we block any of these Death Shadows, we're just in an awful spot. Even if we don't block, do we have much of a chance? Vapor Snag wins the game if we don't block. So I think we're going to go for win the game by not blocking, because blocking puts us in a really bad position. We go down to 9, they have this, we have 1 Mandrills. We technically, do we kill them with Vapor Snag? We don't kill them with Vapor Snag in that case. So we can't win the game on our next turn, and we're in a worse spot than we are now. So we're going to not block and hope we're not dead, and also hope that they're dead, which is quite a bit to hope for. Second Goyf means I don't think we can actually win. We may have just gotten steamrolled, unfortunately. We're gonna find out. Snapcaster Mage. Hey, look who showed up. No targets. So, we play Hooting Mandrills. Goyfs become 5/6s, and they have 4 lethal attackers. We have 3 blockers. That's gonna be game, but we're still gonna play our stuff. Let's leave up interaction. Delve 2. Maybe they'll consider the possibility that we could do something. I don't know. We're not getting anywhere by attacking, that's for sure. If we attack with both, they're just going to block at least 1 Hooting Mandrills. So attacking that bluff, I don't think is going to get us anywhere. Maybe the defensive bluff will. It didn't. We're going to block. Let's die to a Goyf. Not a Death Shadow. Alright, so that was that. We kind of got crushed. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I still had a pretty good time. I don't mind getting crushed. That was still fun. I'm hoping to do more videos. Last week I didn't. I'm getting used to my new summer schedule. But it's looking like I'm going to be doing more, so that's good. And I will see you guys in the next one.